A lot of people have said they thought I was not of this world. Tonight, we find out if that is true or not. Roll the titles! Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I thank you. I thank you both here in the studio and you there at home. Now, with a smile on my face tonight, we are actually talking about death. Because when somebody close to you, and maybe somebody has had one of these incidents at home, somebody in the studio, it's something that happens to all of us. We all end up dead. And every time we do it, everybody laughs and says, ooh, it's quite funny. But when it happens to you, what do you do? How much do you pay for a funeral? Could you do it yourself? And what are the alternatives? Whale On investigates tonight. But first, as always, we go over to the map. Are you with us? You look okay in the monitor? Yes?
No.
You're not doing an awful lot for the sort of improved kind of hostess image on television. You'll never get on to play your cards right at this rate, will you? Is this up the right way?
Yeah.
Good, OK, fine. We have had quite a lot of stick from various people writing in. We did lose a bit of Ireland. I'm so sorry about that. You can see we've got Ireland is bigger than the rest of the country here, and we stuck bits on. If you're not there, write to us and tell us, but we tried to get everything on if we can. And I know that there hasn't been a sort of an earthquake and we're not joined here at the moment. I do understand that, but it's just the low-budget show. We didn't have a big enough piece of card to stick it on. But we will try and do that better. Now, this a little letter here came from Mrs. Fattorini, used to go into her shop. Long time ago. But anyway, she's retired now. She said, do you remember? She's retired to the Channel Islands, and we have actually forgotten the Channel Islands.
Right down here.
Is it right? No, that's the Isle of Wight, dear. It's over
down,
here.
I know it's down here.
Do you think so? I think it's more over... Is it over here, would you say, or not? They don't know. They're as thick as we are. Look, I think it's over there somewhere. So anyway, so to Guernsey and St. Petersport in Guernsey, the entire programme tonight dedicated to St. Petersport in Guernsey, right? Mm-hmm. And thank you for the letter. Right, take that away. We'll see you later. Let's get on with the programme. First of all, I beg your pardon? Michael, did you say something? Oh, you're directing cameras. OK, yes, I suppose you've got to do something, haven't you, really, to justify that incredibly large salary of yours. Right, the competition winner. I'm in a funny mood tonight, you know. It's very strange. All these coffins around the studio and people from the Vampire Society and things like that. Do you like our little friend here? He's doing rather well, isn't he? Of course, we're still looking for a name for him. And, of course, if he needs a bit of a haircut, you can get these. You can buy these. I rather like them. What I wanted to do, I don't know if you can see this at the back. I was trying to give it a sort of whale-type haircut here. So, you see that? It's not really as... I think it has to come off there. Anyway, a little bit more later. Right, the winner of the competition is Elaine... Are the audience in the studio awake, by the way, today? Are you OK? I know it's sombre, but please, just... that was good. You do that, turn that around and point it at the audience again. Go on. Oh, OK, fine. Elaine Wiseman from Tamworth in Staffordshire. Well done, Elaine. You are off to Ibiza with a friend and have a lovely time there. Now, this week you could win a holiday for 2 people on the island of Rhodes, and remember, the summer is still coming towards us. It's not quite here at the moment. We've had some pretty good days, but why pay for your own holiday when we're going to pay for it for you? All you have to do is answer this simple question. What was the name given to the famous vampire character created by Bram Stoker? Was it A, Edward Scissorhands, B, Dracula, or C, Freddy Krueger? I'd go for Freddy Krueger. 0891 900 007 is the number to ring, and the lines are open until midnight on Sunday. That's particularly nice. Now, shall we welcome my first guest? Would they like to come up and join me up here, please? Simon Truelove and Nicholas Albury. Give them a nice round of applause. There, now, guys. Welcome to the programme. Death is not usually something, and the audience are sitting there looking rather worried tonight. I did say that we were going to try and bring in a Godiva, what is it?
Cadaver?
Yes, a Godiva, that's right, but they wouldn't, they said it was tasteless and we couldn't do it on the programme. So let's start off with you, Simon, because you're sort of the boss as far as the ordinary sorry, Michael, I'm trying to do an interview. It's a very nice shot. Yeah, it's a very nice shot. I can't see, where is it? Oh, can you see that? I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry. Do you see that thing there? I can't see where it is in the studio, but... oh, it's over there, look, Dracula on there. Very funny. Right. Most amusing. Could I carry on? Simon, as far as ordinary funeral directors, you are the boss.
No, I'm not.
The association, sort
I'm
of.
spokesman for the National Association of Funeral Directors.
Exactly. So you're the man who can tell us what it's like.
I hope so.
What is, if one of us dies tomorrow, somebody in the audience, somebody upstairs in the gallery, what is the minimum cost for a funeral we should pay?
Well, the minimum cost depends on exactly what you want. The average cost of a funeral, the most recent survey has said, is about £1,080. That's if you go to a funeral director. Of course, Nicholas is going to tell you it's much better to do it yourself, which is quite all right if that's what somebody wants to do.
Now, £1,800 seems to me...
No, 1,080.
Oh, 1,080, OK. 1,080 seems quite a lot of money, actually, because
That's
a lot of
including
people...
the disbursements.
The what?
Disbursements.
What are those?
Well, they're payments that a funeral director will make on your behalf.
Yeah.
Cemetery fees, doctor's fees, minister's fees, crematorium fees, and then hopes to be reimbursed at a later date.
Oh, he takes the gamble to get the money back off the estate.
very much so.
Yeah. The death grant at the moment is still what it was 20, 30 years ago.
No, there is
isn't it?
no death
There is
grant.
no death grant at all now?
No, they replaced the death grant, which at the end was £30.
That's right.
And now if people are in receipt of one of the or the person responsible for arranging the funeral is in receipt of one of the supplementary benefits, that's housing benefit, family credit, income support, or council tax benefit.
Right. So if
they
you have no
can
money
get a
when you
funeral
die...
paid. Yeah, well, not the person that's died, it's the person responsible for paying for the funeral. If they have no money, or if they have savings of under £500, or if they're over 60 of under £1,000, they can claim from the social fund, and a loan is made from the social fund.
Can you shop around? I mean, at the time when somebody dies, you don't really feel like shopping around. You don't really feel like asking more than one person to come and give you a quote. You know, if your husband or your wife has died, you say, could you pop in and give me a quote? I want to box him up on Friday. You don't do that.
Well, it's all very well for us to advise people that they can do that, but obviously it's not quite so easy when it actually happens. So we would advise people to do that a long time in advance before it becomes necessary.
And can you get a discount if you book in advance? I mean, if I book and say, look, I don't know how long I've got left, you know, it could be next week, it could be a couple of years, whatever. I mean, can you do that in little deals?
Effectively, what you can do is you can go to a funeral director and pay for a funeral at today's prices, and then they will guarantee through one of the national plans that there'll be nothing more to pay when the funeral actually occurs.
OK, now, as you quite rightly said, Nicholas Albury here is the editor of the Natural Death Book, all right? And that's a good...
Death Handbook.
Thank you, that's a good plug, that's it. Right, and this is a do-it-yourself. A lot of people out there looking, sort of the do-it-yourself gardeners on Sunday, all that sort of thing, they're tinkering around in the garage.
Yes, we're a do-it-yourself nation, really, aren't we?
Yeah. So, I mean, how much would it cost if we do it yourself?
Well, I've put in my will that I'm to be buried on this piece of farmland I was given as a wedding present, just wrapped in a sheet with an apple tree on top of me, and I can't see that's going to cost very much, maybe the cost of the apple tree and
Are
the
you allowed to
transport
do
of the
that?
body. Yes, we've researched the law quite carefully, and you don't need planning permission to be buried on your own piece of land.
I thought that, I didn't think
As
you
long
could.
as it's for a limited number of unmarked and unfenced graves. If you're setting up a commercial site, that's
Yeah.
another matter. You can even be buried in your back garden, but we don't particularly advise that because it reduces the value of the property, and your children may not want you there.
So you don't even bother with a casket?
I wouldn't personally, but I did bring with me
There's
that.
nervous laughter in the audience. Very, very quiet, but nervous laughter. But go on.
I brought with me that cardboard coffin over there, which...
Can somebody bring it in? Just bring it into the...
it's not very elegant, but it costs about 55 quid.
Let's display it for 55 quid. Bring that in. That's because...
And
yeah.
for your
Right
sort of,
in the middle of... Well, let's go over there for a moment. Come over
for
here,
your average
guys.
sort of friends of the earth type person,
Yeah.
it's probably adequate
Simon, join us over here,
for a
please.
burial.
Yeah. OK, where is it?
It's this one here.
Oh, fine, bring it... Yeah. Now,
And,
yeah. This is it.
yeah.
OK. Open it up. I'll bring it... Yeah, that's it. Bring it round the front here.
It's
I don't-
only snag is it's got
I'm sorry about
plastic
this. Don't
bolts.
take that round there, Simon. OK, fine. You're used to carrying these. I'm probably not doing it the right way. Yeah. We'll talk about this one in a few moments, guys. Is this one of yours or not? No, fine. OK, right.
So that there's two. There's
I mean, look, it's light as anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sort of, you can twist it around. It's got handles on, so you can be quite...
We're trying to arrange for these to be sendable through the mail.
Really?
So you can order yours in advance. And we use ours to keep the duvets in at the moment.
Yeah. It's not bad, though. How much will that cost you?
It's 50 quid.
50 quid?
It's a lot of money, but there's two local authorities selling them,
Yeah.
Brighton and Carlisle. And there, they're having nature as their burial ground. So when you're buried, you just have a tree planted on top of you. And so that lasts as long as a gravestone. And you can be wrapped in a woolen shroud if you want.
Simon, is this worrying? I mean, is this... Are your members here, Simon, going to be worried about this? Because, I mean,
We
this
obviously
could...
don't approve of councils selling
No,
coffins. We
no,
don't approve
no.
of councils meddling in any business.
Yes,
But,
quite right, Simon, yes.
I think that if you're going to... I mean, these are sold as being ecologically friendly.
Yeah.
Although, from my point of view, I believe wood is biodegradable as well. So.
Well, it is, Simon, but it seems a shame to... Is this one of yours over here, Simon, you brought it to the show?
No, it's not mine.
No, but it gives you an idea, so you can, for price range, if you've got a few more bob. This is sort of the Rolls-Royce.
Well, it's more the Cadillac.
Oh, is it more the cat? This is an American one.
It's an American
Yeah.
casket.
They wouldn't let me get in this one. Can we come
No,
round the...
it's worth too much money.
Right, tell me about this.
Well, it's made out of solid mahogany. It comes from mahogany that's farmed rather than just cut down willy-nilly.
Yeah.
It is very deluxe casket.
What have we got in here? We've got a very nice... This is a nice pillow, because when you're dead, you want comfort, I always find.
Well, it's more for presentation. There's
Yeah,
even an
yeah.
adjustable mattress in there which goes up and down
Uh-huh.
with that little handle you have there. And you can adjust it, but it's more for the family who are coming along to
That's
to
lovely, isn't that
see
lovely?
their next of kin.
Yeah. OK, so this is more... And then you would burn this or stick it in the ground?
Most people wouldn't actually choose to cremate a casket like this. They would
No.
choose to bury it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's 430,000 coffins burnt each year. Well, that's a waste of money, and it's also bad for the environment.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a point, Simon, really, doesn't it? No, I'm not going to fall over. It's OK. My time has not come just yet, but I'm in the right position if it has, as you can see. Simon and Aubrey and Nicholas, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to do a bit of gardening because that fits in. Would you like to regain your seats and we'll talk a little more? And can we clear these away? Please, ladies and gentlemen, give them a nice round of applause because... It's so important. It's so important to consider these. Now, this is a serious point. I want you to think about this because a little later we'll find out how you can plan your funeral and how we can do this. Do you remember in the gardening spot, this is called... what we're going to call this spot something. I've forgotten what it was now. Do you remember? Grow Up, that's right, yes, Grow Up, that's it. We're going to call it Grow Up. And I can see this as a feature going into nighttime television. Now, you may remember when we first started this particular feature, and you could, presumably, if you're cremated, you could bring back the ashes and you could actually have a little funeral in your plastic garden here. So, what we have done, you may remember last week we planted the seeds, do you remember?
I do.
And so remarkable is our gardening expertise that they're just beginning now. Can you see they're just beginning to grow up here? And this is what happens. You get the... Can we get in closely here and see? You begin to get the sort of leaves coming through from the tomato plant. And it's growing very, very nicely. Now, just tend it a little bit over there whilst you're doing that. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Running out of time. Whilst you're doing that, I always find when the brown shoots of the tomato plant come through, it is always a nice idea just to sort of, just trim them slightly, OK? And this is a very fast-growing tomato. It's a tomato that we find is easily grown on the windowsill, isn't
Not
it,
too
Cookie?
much, not too
Not
much.
too much. No, I'm not doing it
Not
too
too
much.
much.
OK, because next week we hope, because they're so fast-growing, next week... is that OK?
Yeah.
Yeah, OK. Next week we hope to be harvesting our crop. Very, very nice indeed. Very good. Please. So there we are. That's our tip on Grow Up this week, and we'll have more gardening hints and tips for you next week at the same time. If you have any hints and tips for us, please don't forget to send them in to Whale On, MMTV, 5 to 7 Carnaby Street, London, W1. Ladies and gentlemen, grow up. That's OK, fine. Now, what was doing... sorry, just one moment. I've got to go over here because I've got me moves. I'll go over here. Right, ladies and gentlemen, new band to television, new band to this programme, a band that are called Noah Noah!
1, 2, 3, 4, clap. Hit me out. I need you badly. Turn out now. When maybe I can't help it. Feel so helpless that I adore you. But I want to love you. Hold my hand. I'm so happy. Touch my
are. That's Noah Noah and I Can't Stop Shaking, and they'll be back a little later on the programme. Before the break, your chance to win that holiday for two people to the island of Rhodes. What was the name of the famous vampire character created by Bram Stoker? Was this Edward Scissorhands, Dracula, or Freddy Krueger? We're back with more death, destruction and mayhem after the break. I have to say that the special effects on this programme, no expense has been spared on Whale On to create some of the most amazing special effects ever. Now, please would you welcome Mr. Julian Lytton, ladies and gentlemen. Julian, I didn't even know, Julian, people like you existed. You are a funereal historian. You work at the Victoria and Albert Museum.
I do indeed.
And you spend your life documenting funerals and...
Well, not my entire life. I think just a percentage of
A lot of it. A lot of
A
it.
fair amount,
A lot
yes.
of it, yes. So, why? I mean, how did you first get started? I mean, sort of things that everybody asks you at dinner parties. It's a strange job to have, Julian, isn't it?
It's odd. I think they ask you at dinner parties and then you end up by not getting the pudding they've asked you to leave beforehand. But it was something which I literally fell into when I was in my teens doing some archaeology in a church in Neuse. And we were told we couldn't excavate the burial vaults, which didn't really worry me at the time. But it was the burial vault itself that wanted to be examined. And I went in one Saturday morning and the floor collapsed. And I ended up in the vault. And you do one of two things. You either get out twice as fast as you got in, or you stay and have a good look. And as I've always been a curious lad, I chose the latter.
You stayed and had a jolly
I
good
had a
look,
good old
jolly
look,
good look.
yes, indeed.
So, I mean, are funerals to you frightening or are they exciting?
Neither. They're things which just have to take place. And my main interest comes in the liturgy, the performance of it, the history of the funeral itself.
Now, should it be a performance? I mean, we're talking about cardboard coffins and things like that, and it's spending money on expensive coffins. And
Yes.
you pulled your face when I went to look at
Yes.
the Rolls-Royce or Cadillac.
No, the Cadillac. I can
Yeah.
tell you about the Rolls-Royce.
Yes. No, you didn't like that.
No, not at all. I think there are much better coffins that we make in this country. I don't like caskets anyway. They're very Yankee, and certainly not the sort of thing to bring into England's churchyards.
Does religion have to have a part in every burial, even if you're not religious?
No, I don't think so. I think it's up to the individual to choose how they decide to have their funeral service.
Now, you've planned your own funeral.
I plan my own, yes.
Perhaps to give people an idea at home, because you see makeovers on daytime television, so we have a kind of funeral over now, just to give people the sort of idea that you're going... This is all planned.
All planned.
Money's put aside for it.
Money is well aside for it.
What are you going to do?
Well, I shall not be buried or cremated. I'm going to go into a public catacomb, so I shall be on a shelf where I can biodegrade in my own time. I don't like the idea of paying a percentage of my income to insure myself against fire, and then at the last letting that element win. Neither do I much like the idea of having tons of earth on top of me. So I shall go into a quite simple coffin.
I didn't know that existed.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
how do you, well, go on, carry
Yeah,
on.
I'll probably have inch and a half, well, I know I'll have inch and a half oak to go into.
Oh, nice.
Around that will go £8 per square foot lead, and that'll go into an outer case, which will be 1 3/4 inches, framed and panelled of oak, with solid cast brass handles on it. Runners underneath, so I can get full ventilation going around me, and I'll biodegrade in my own time.
You don't think it would be more, I don't know, user-friendly to be burnt and scatter the cinders elsewhere?
No, not really. I don't think so. If you bear in mind the amount of components that are cremated, it is having a damaging effect on the ozone.
But if we all wanted to be put into a public catacomb, where is the public catacomb?
In London.
Where?
In northwest London.
The address?
And I'm not going to give you the address. No one's going to come and visit me. I'll be quite happy on my own.
Have you chosen the ceremony? I mean, black horses?
No, I don't think it would be fair for horses to pull that weight.
No,
I prefer to have a Royce fleet.
Yes.
So I shall go motorised and have it done in a sort of discreet manner, but at least it will be luxurious.
What's the most, since you've been sort of looking back through history, what is the most exciting funeral you think that you would like to have been able to go to if you could have done?
Oh, I think I'd like to have gone to Cromwell's funeral.
Really?
That would have been great fun. That's when they had the streets lined with soldiers, not to pay their respects, but to keep the crowds off from tearing the funeral image to bits. Now, that would have been really great. lovely comments we have of the dogs howling in the street for joy when his coffin was going along. And when his funeral service was taking place in Westminster Abbey, the souvenir hunters came up and ripped the hearse to pieces, so running around saying, "I've got a bit of the Paul." And a bit of it did end up in the London Museum, where you can see it today.
Now, what about for those people who feel that going should be a time of joy? And I mean, if you're in Ireland, you have a wake and everybody sings. And
Yes.
do you think that should be more the sort of, or do you believe that the fairly sombre funeral's a good idea?
No, I don't necessarily believe in a sombre funeral. I believe in a dignified funeral, certainly a dignified ritual and a dignified liturgy for whatever is chosen. But I do believe that a funeral should be a celebration. It is a celebration of a person's life. With my own religious convictions, I believe that a funeral will mark the end of my life on earth, but the beginning of my life in heaven. So whilst they are enjoying singing the hymns which I have chosen around the coffin itself, I know I shall be eating pâté de foie gras to the sound of trumpets elsewhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Julian Lytton. And I think what I'd like to do on another programme, Julian, if you're game for this, I was just thinking of the makeover side of it there. I'd like to get some celebrity in, and I'd like you to remake their funeral arrangements
try
for me. I think that would be
that'd
lovely.
be fun, wouldn't
Now, you might like to stay there for the moment, but shout out if you have any views on this. Please, would you welcome Nigel Keane and Robert Ord over here. Is that Robert? Orford. Come over here, gentlemen. Now, you are from, which company are you from?
PBUK.
PBUK. Now, you make what?
Well, we don't make anything. We actually
Import. Yes.
this ecological coffin from Switzerland. And that's the whole point about it, the ecological aspect. It's made from 85% recycled paper.
Right.
Contains no chemicals. And when it's burnt, as Nicholas just said, over 400,000 a year are, it produces...
400,000? There's a big market out there, isn't there?
70% of 70,000.
Yeah.
It produces 75% less emissions, harmful and noxious chemicals than a wooden box.
Now, Simon Truelove, you prefer this one, don't you?
Yes, I
Yeah.
prefer that.
Okay. All right. Because, well, I don't know. Are you going to make it for us and show us how you do it?
Yes.
You carry on and put it together.
Okay.
Both of you, and I'll stand over here. Maybe if you talk us through what you do. When you get it home, into the parlour, because, Julian, bodies were always laid out in the parlour, weren't they? Yes?
Over there.
Is this a bit to keep all the bits of bodily
I'm
fluid
afraid
in?
so.
This is a one-piece liquid-proof liner which folds up pre-folded. That's to hold the body fluids.
Because I thought they always took body fluids out before you got... but anyway, go on, yeah. Right.
One pack, one
Yes.
piece.
How much would this cost? I did ask you, I think, but I've forgotten.
It's about the same price as a standard wooden coffin from an undertaker.
Yes. So Simon, what is a standard wooden coffin from an undertaker going to cost?
Well, so the one you had here earlier, an open ear coffin, would cost between £100 to about £300, depending on exactly what size it is.
Yeah, yeah. So this is about £100, really, or 100?
No, this would be about £150 to £200.
Yeah.
It's not sold on a price basis, it's sold on any ecological basis.
Okay. And this you prefer because of the look?
I think it looks a bit less like a cardboard box, and certainly
Yes.
from what I've seen, it seems very sturdy. They showed me on Friday, and I was very impressed by the standard of it.
What do you think of this? I mean...
We also tell people about this cardboard one. It's much more expensive, but it is. You can get chipboard coffins much cheaper. I mean, we tell people we can get chipboard
I
coffins.
think a round of
sent to them for
applause,
£90.
audience, for this, having made it in a couple of minutes there. Very, very good. So it actually, it doesn't look too bad at all. I'm very impressed in that, really. And you're not taking up the world's natural resources with I suppose you are to make this, aren't
Well,
you?
no, because it's made from 85% recycled paper. It's waste that would have to be processed in any event.
It's a Greenpeace coffin. It's a Greenpeace coffin. Julian, what do you think?
Well, it looks very much in style like the coffins that we had in England in the first and second quarters of the 17th century. Yeah, it's quite decent, but one can go even greener if you want to, because it's quite possible, since the 1st of January this year, to have shroud burials. So you don't even need any sort of container whatsoever. You could hire this, take it to the churchyard, take the body out, and put them straight into the ground. That's the quickest biodegradability known to man.
Now, that doesn't actually sound a bad idea. Now, Simon, what about that? What about that? That sounds rather good.
Well, if that's what people want, I'm sure it'll be available.
Yes? It is available, is it?
There's a woolen shroud that's made available from the Carlisle local authority, made on the local loom. Very beautiful.
When you go to the undertakers, do you think you get enough help to choose your sort of...
Well, we did a survey of 2,800 undertakers. Only 29 are prepared to sell you just a coffin. They don't want to. They want to sell you the whole package.
Really?
Only 29 were prepared to actually advertise that. None in the whole of Wales.
No, of the ones that actually replied to your survey, I think it was 45 that actually replied, 29 were. But that doesn't mean that there's only that number in the whole country.
So, but I mean, because of the lack of what is I suppose because of the lack of wish to go around and find the best funeral director, if you like, the one who will give you the best savings. It's a problem, isn't it? You're stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea because really you have a monopoly on death at the moment.
Not in the slightest. There's no compulsion for people to use funeral director at all if they don't want to.
So if you want to organise your own funeral, you're quite at liberty to do that.
Quite at
And
liberty
save
to.
about £1,000 in the process. I think for most people, it's not only cheaper, it's more satisfying. It's not just handing over to people who are strangers to you.
Okay.
And you come to terms better with the grief.
Okay.
But I think there's only a small percentage of people that want to do it your way.
Yes, it's
the
the kind of people
majority,
who don't
the
go on
majority of
holidays.
people want to be able to have the services of a funeral director, but they also, at the same time, may want an ecological coffin.
Okay, guys, thank you for the moment very much indeed. We're going to have some music. We'll have a little more argument later. Please welcome the second time on the show tonight. Here they are, Noah Noah!
Stuff it, stuff your lies and stuff your life. Shove it, swallow your pants and shovel shite. You love it, cause I made you an offer you won't abide by. Sweetheart, 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 you really bite and bite me, try me. After the blues have gone, after you have sung, I will be gone, yeah. Had fun, you and everyone. Stop it, stop the lies and stop the bite. Kill it, kill your bite, it's after time. I track it, you made me an offer I can't abide by. Sweetheart, 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 you really bite and bite me, try me. After the juice has gone, after you have sung, I will be gone, yeah. We had fun, me, you and everyone. Sweetheart, 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 you really bite and bite me, try me. After the juice has gone, after you have sung, I will be gone, yeah.
Whoa! There we are, another band, an unsigned band, looking for a deal. That's Noah Noah, and that track was called Stuff It. Was that what it was called? Yeah. Stuff It. Okay, there we are, Stuff It. Right, competition before the break. Don't forget your chance to win a holiday for two people on the island of Rhodes. All you have to do is answer one simple question. What was the name of the character, or the name given to the famous vampire character in the books and films and TV shows and plays created by Bram Stoker? Was it Edward Scissorhands, Dracula, or Freddy Krueger? Lines are open till midnight on Sunday. We're back for the final part in a couple of minutes. out of condition, aren't you? You are out of condition. Sorry about that. Welcome back. This is the original Late Night Entertainment. There are many copies, but this is the one with the viewers. Now, we're talking about death tonight. We found out that a DIY cremation, do-your-own thing, costs about £300. If you went to a funeral director, it cost you about £600. If you wanted, as Julian is going to have, put yourself into a casket, then into the public catacombs and all that sort of stuff, and have a nice shroud, tailor-made and everything, it's cost you about £4,500 for that one. That's what he likes. And I've decided that I quite like to be at one of those funerals that the Vikings used to have, the Red Indians, and I'd like to go out onto Lake Windermere in a boat and just burn and have a... I think that would be great. But there is another alternative, or maybe it's not an alternative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Garrett Smith. Now, Garrett, freezing is another alternative. Cryonics, something perhaps we don't know an awful lot about.
Well, it's certainly it's not as widespread as some of the other things that you've been discussing tonight. I don't view it as a form of after-death disposal of human remains. There's quite a lot of scientific evidence coming up that tissues are preserved very well by freezing, and it may be that, in fact, the people who are frozen on legal death, which is not necessarily the same as biological death. Interestingly, the definition of death medically is a rather loose one. It's frighteningly loose if you actually look into it. And some doctors actually won't answer when you ask them.
I have to tell you that I couldn't get a doctor to come on and debate this issue with you.
No, it's because it's a rather loose thing. The definition of death is a pretty loose one. That's what I mean.
They actually said to me...
They actually will say...
that anybody involved in cryonics was a crank, and they weren't prepared to put their professional status on the line.
Oh, well, how many doctors
did
did you actually try yourself?
Well, I'm told we tried about half a dozen or so.
Well, I didn't know you tried about two, but anyway.
Well, half a dozen, two...
And they were ones that were known for not being interested as well.
You could have found me a doctor, could you? You're
Yes,
very
I
touchy
can
about
find
this,
it.
aren't you? Why
No,
are
I
you so
can
touchy
find-
about this, Garrett? I mean, I've noticed
Touchy
that
about
you're very
what?
touchy about talking about cryonics. Why are you touchy about it? You
Touchy-
don't trust the media, do you?
I do trust quite a lot of the media. It's just, unfortunately, the James Whale show is sometimes a
So,
bit more wild
well-
than other parts of the media.
Probably, but I'm here tonight, and there are the cameras all around us here tonight.
I do remember once ITN News, and they had old Carol Barnes or whatever. She was a jolly nice lady.
Good, anyway.
But,
and
you're
we
not a
think
jolly
she
nice
is.
chap,
We
too,
think
though.
she is.
And you're a jolly nice
Just
chap,
tell
too.
us, Garrett, in your own words, what cryonics does.
Well, essentially, at the point of legal death, rather than biological death, sort of medical-grade antifreeze chemicals are introduced into the cells to help prevent freezing damage, and you're frozen to a very low temperature, which allows, essentially, prevents any biological activity happening at all for possibly, could be thousands of years, quite
Okay,
easily.
so we don't know if
the
that'll
important
work.
thing is here. The important thing is here. Well, we know that we can freeze things in good condition, and interestingly enough, brain tissue freezes a lot better than a lot of other tissues. The thing is now this is where the difficult bit is. We don't know that technology will advance. We have to look back at the past and say, well, what happened 100 years ago? Could we fly 100 years ago?
So you're going to have how much of your whole body frozen?
Actually, in my case, I'll be having my brain frozen.
Just your brain?
Just my brain, yeah.
Don't you want the rest of you? I mean, it's not
Well-
bad, it's all right, there's not a lot wrong with it.
Well, I don't...
I mean, yeah, it's- yeah.
Didn't know you were watching backstage. But I don't know, seriously about it. Essentially, the
I do the
information... I am sorry. They slipped me one in my pocket. They said, try saying this when you go on.
Go on.
No, the information that makes us physically us, our bodies us, is in every single cell of the body. It's the chromosomes and the DNA.
How much are you paying
What
to have your
makes
brain
us
frozen?
what makes us mentally us is our memories,
Right.
and they're the important things to store.
So you're
store,
having your brain
preserve.
frozen when you die?
Yes.
Okay, but you have to pay for that. I mean, is it as expensive as a funeral? What sort of price?
Well, I have a life insurance policy which is quite useful because they pay out exactly on legal death, which is the definition that we're going for here.
So all
And
the
my
money in your
costs,
life
my
insurance
costs,
is covered?
my total costs are about £300 a year, which,
Yeah.
if you smoke, is well known for not extending your lifespan.
Okay, so
and can cost more per
supposing
year.
when you've had this, I don't know the sort of people or the sort of life we're going to have in the future, neither do you. What about people breaking into this Cryonics Institute where you're all stuck in these little casks, frozen, and ripping them out for, or there's an earthquake, or a bomb drops on it, or there's a fire, or the power goes off.
It's quite interesting that you pick up a bomb, because I quite often get the question, what if there's a nuclear war? I mean, less so since we've had an accord with Russia or whatever, but people quite often used to say that. And they'd say, what would happen if a nuclear bomb fell on you? And the only answer really is you get blown up like everybody else. And that's the thing, because, it's not a sort of a religious substitute. It is a practical thing. We are trying to
So
actually
it's just
preserve
it's a bit of a
tissue well.
gamble on your part, really.
It is a gamble, but as
You
I say,
might
it's
come
cheaper
back,
than
you
smoking.
might not.
You might not, but as I say, it costs me less. Well, I don't smoke, but if I did smoke, I'd probably be spending more on that. And there's not really that much of a gamble that that's going to extend your life. It's certainly going to do you harm.
Isn't it the height of arrogance to think that, people in the future want to have
Sorry,
you?
you're going to ask me a question about arrogance.
Yes, I mean, the height of arrogance for you to... I may be
That's
arrogant
good, I like
about,
that, I like that.
about being here now. Listen, this is the man who
You're
wanted
not-
all
you're
sorts of
not.
assurances
You're
that he
not.
was going to be treated
You're
right on the
not.
programme and not have the piss taken out
Oh, well,
of
that
him.
was because
No.
you were telling little
Garrett.
porky pies I
No,
had
no, no, no,
backstage
Garrett.
beforehand. That was all.
I think
and
you're-
I can't believe that any of the people watching tonight would think that people would do such a thing on that.
Well, let
And
me
I bet
ask
that-
the audience.
And will that get
Let me
cut?
ask the audience, is this man a crank? Is this man a crank? Or is he... do you want to be frozen? No. You see, they think
If-
you're a crank.
if you
You're
had
a
a choice-
figure of fun. That's all. You're
Well,
a
I
figure
am
of fun.
in your eyes and on
I
your show,
want
but that
to
is why
ask
you were
you-
saying to me earlier, why is it
I
a bit
want-
suspicious of the James Whale show and not say ITN
I
or
want to
whatever?
ask you a
But maybe
serious
that's what the
question,
answer
and
is.
you're flanneling because you don't have the
I do
answers.
usually have to.
You're flanneling.
Let's
I'm
get
going
on
to
to the
ask you,
serious
don't be
question.
so bloody rude. If you want to go, go. Why don't you... Look
at
let
him.
me take the
Look,
microphone
let's
off.
take
Go
your-
on.
let's
Okay,
take
go
your-
on. No, you might as well
Go on,
go.
ask the
Or do you want to
question.
answer the
Ask the
question?
question.
You want to
Ask
answer
the
the question?
question.
I'll
Ask
put
the
it back on.
question.
I'll put it... I'm not going to hit you. Don't be so ridiculous. I won't waste my time.
Well, I'm going to
Right.
try- I'm
The
quite
question
ready
is,
to do that.
what makes you think that
piece of
people...
fat.
Don't be silly. What makes you think that people in the future want to have you? You've had your lifespan, your 80 years, your 100 years. Why should you come back in somebody else's time?
It's quite straightforward. If you are revivable, then by definition you're not dead in the first place. You're not a cadaver, you're a patient. And it's like going to say, there was a hospital, there's a well-known film, Awakenings, where they had people in a comatose state for 50 years, and you would say, well, why would Dr. Oliver Sacks have bothered injecting them with L-Dopa or whatever it was, and bringing them awake?
Let me bring you
And
back
it's
to the
same
question.
thing.
The
No,
question
it's
is,
the same
if we
thing. It's the
all
same
wanted
thing.
to
Why
say,
does the doctor...
there'd be no room on this planet.
Why does the doctor want to cure a person of something now when they could cure... And when are you saying that they won't want to cure people
What
of
have
things in
you
the
got
future?
to offer? What have you got to offer the people of the future? Why should it be you?
Well, I don't know.
Are you
I mean,
a
I think-
doctor? Are you
I
a
think first of all,
scientist?
well, I do have a degree in neuroscience, actually, but, I mean, if you really want to know. But, no, I mean, one of the reasons I might come back is because talk show hosts find me annoying, and that sometimes makes
Well, I
reasonable
don't find you annoying
You know,
particularly. I
if
just
you're
find you a
watching
little
this in 100 years' time, if
infuriating.
you're watching this in 100 years' time, or my phone number will probably have changed by then, won't it? Yes, so never mind.
Have you finished? You really feel you should come back a little later?
I really wouldn't.
You won't know
I'll tell
anybody
you,
back
I'll be
here, will
perfectly
you? You
honest.
won't have any friends in the
I'll be
future.
perfectly
Nobody will know
honest.
you.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you, and I really wouldn't like to go away in the first place. And when you said, would anybody like to be frozen? I don't want to be frozen. This is the important thing.
Are you
I
afraid of
really
death?
want to say, no, I'm certainly not.
Right.
Have you been hang gliding?
No, I'm not afraid of death, though, but I wondered if you were.
No, but I can tell you, if you do things like that, you know, I mean, if you want to see if I'm afraid of death, why don't you come for a drive in my car?
Garrett, I think you're a very silly man. Ladies and gentlemen,
I think
Garrett
you're very-
Smith. Thank you. Right. Let's go from cranks to a little sensibility over here. Please welcome new talent to television, Mr. Ali Pali.
Sorry, but it's another dead composer, so there we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ali Pali Magic Fun Show. Tonight, we only have about 20 minutes to do a few illusions, and here I have one person who was defrosted a little while ago, but don't worry about it. I'm sure he'll come back again to haunt us. There we go. Now, I had a little problem with the electricity, of course. They put VAT on it now, so he probably hasn't worked this one out, because every time the electricity runs out, what happens? Your little cadaver turns to water, and it'll keep coming back again, rather like a curry. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you away from all this death, gloom, despondency, and see if we can do a little magic. Now, all magicians and all genies, I'm a genie really, not a magician, and I've lost my magic powers, so I need somebody with superb magic powers aplenty. Will you please welcome the wonderful, the amazing Cookie? Thank you. Sorry, Cryogenics. Now, I only asked you to bring 2 balloons with you. Why? Oh, I see. Yes, you've got 2 balloons. Now, Cookie, would you like to step this way? Because I hear that you're game for a laugh. Yes, just walk this way, or walk that way if you like. It's much better. Now, here we have our own version of Living Hell. All I want you to do is to place your arm through here. I promise you, no, we'll make it much more interesting. Place your arm through here, like this, all the way through. Now, can you confirm that is your hand?
It certainly is.
Good, fine. Here is one of your balloons. Seem to have grown while you've been holding these balloons. Sure, they're the right size earlier. There we go. Tacky. There we go. One little balloon there. And one little balloon here. Here we go. Now, this is rather like a catacomb, you understand. It's the nearest we could get to a catacomb because they wouldn't go the extra mile for the money. Now, you'll like this because how do you like your bits of meat? Portioned, fried, serrated? Because I haven't actually done this one before, so we'll see if it works. Okay, would you like to close your eyes? So it's not going to hurt me a bit, you understand? No? Fine, suit yourself. Are you enjoying this? I think she's enjoying this. Right, after 3, can we have a big 1, 2, 3, everybody? 1, 2, 3! What happened then? Did you move? Did you move? No, they haven't moved at all. Here we go. Let's see if we can do it again. 1, 2, 3, way! What happened there? All right. If you really want me to do it, here we go. Yes?
Hang on. Are you all right?
I think so, but I
Have you done this before?
I've never done this before at all, sir. Oh, did you feel that?
Okay, look.
Ah, well, there we go.
Hang on,
Let
look.
us see if we can...
Look, have you got... Hang on, can you pull this out?
Well, no, because if we pull this out, we'll lose an arm.
Are you
here,
going
so-
to... I'm sorry about this. Hang on just a minute. Can you levitate it now? Because we're running out of time.
All right,
We're gonna
here
be
we go.
off the-
Let's take out...
Right.
Oh, let's take it out. Ah.
Yeah.
Take out your arm, because I think you'll find... Oh, we have one arm,
Surprise.
and everything's okay.
There's no
Big
hole
round
in
of
the
applause.
arm.
I
Right,
think
okay.
she did really well. Really well. Now, a little bit of levitation.
Okay, fine. We'll have to do that again. That's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Ali Pally, thank you very much indeed. Sorry, we've run out of time. That's it.
Wonderful.
Right. It's all your fault. Go on, off. Go on, right, now.
Good night, everybody.
We might ask you back to levitate later if you're good. You like him? See him back? Yeah. He was even worse than him. I mean, wasn't he brilliant? You know, we'll have him on the next show if you like. Right, you've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to introduce you now to these people sitting in the audience, the members... Are you uncomfortable there? You're looking a little... You're looking... Are you sure you're right? Okay, fine. Members of the Vampire Society, is that right?
That's right.
Now, your name is...
Tina.
Now, Tina, tell me about vampires. I mean, what is it about vampires that are so exciting to you?
Sex, death, and fancy costumes.
Julian, you should be in this, really, because... No? No, do you not think these are sort of things you could get sort of... No. Okay. Oh, I think you're very romantic, actually, Julian, to be honest. So what is it about the... I mean, do you like chewing on necks, or...
Certainly not.
Oh, sorry.
We like dressing up and having fun.
Yeah. And what sort of fun do you have? I mean, will you get some lovely costumes? Yeah. Can we see this? Could you stand up in the back? Because I can't believe your waist, actually. Are you on the floor? Can you see this? I mean, it's almost as if you... didn't know anybody got that thin. It's lovely. There's a little coffin round her neck as well. Sorry, Tina, I interrupt, yes.
Yes, we get together, we have quizzes and the knitting competitions.
Do you really? Knitting competitions. I see, yes.
Swap recipes.
Yes. Yes. Is this what excites you about it, Carol?
Swapping recipes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How many members are there?
About 400.
And you get together in sort of regular meetings?
Yeah, we have regular meetings. We also have area meetings around the countryside. We've got different area reps all the way around the country holding their own little meetings.
I mean, this has nothing... People watching at home may think this has something to do with black magic or something like that. Nothing like that at all.
Not at all, no. It's just people who are interested in the subject, like vampires or horror stories in general, whatever, read the books, like watching the movies, and they get together. It's basically kind of social thing.
Have you, I mean, I'm just interested to know, have you ever thought about funerals and dying and death yourselves? We've been talking about it. Maybe people have a little idea in their minds now of the way they might like to go when it's their turn. Have you ever thought about it?
I have a relative who wanted to be served up as hamburgers.
No, you didn't.
I
You're just
did.
winding me up. You didn't at
I
all.
did.
Really?
Yes.
You'd like to be eaten?
No, I wouldn't. He thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to let people know until afterwards. Then
Oh.
it would be mentioned when the will was read.
Oh, so that would be the funeral supper. They would all
Yeah.
eat him, and quite frankly, I think that's disgusting.
So do I.
Where did you get your outfit from, Carol? It really is rather marvellous. Can you stand up and show us?
Well-
Just a little twirl. Not too much of a twirl, otherwise the microphone will decapitate you.
This is an original Victorian item, and I made the skirt.
It's very nice. And have you everybody goes out and buys things or makes them themselves?
Yeah, or we can get them made up for them.
Yeah.
So,
How much?
well, depends on the outfit.
Okay, so you wear clothes, you dress up like...
Yes, most people do.
There's none of that... There's none of that taking your clothes off and running around outside and all that sort of thing and going through misty woods and chasing each other.
Not as part of the society,
What
no.
a shame. No. Oh, that's...
It's entirely
Carol's
up to
doing
them.
herself no favours, Tina, is she?
I think I ended up on Whitby Beach last year in a black satin nightdress
Yeah.
in the early hours of the morning. But
We hold
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be back. Where are we? Over here. We're back next week. We have a whole programme on bodies. Join us then at the same time. Until then, have a nice week. Bye-bye and a weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you.